Welcome, pilots! This is the second part of my video series highlighting assault frigates in EVE Online. If you haven't watched the first part, you can find the link in the description box below. In this video, I'm going to highlight what I believe are the unsung ship attributes for combat site explorers: ship warp speed and acceleration. It turns out that assault frigates have the highest warp speed outside of interceptors and covert ops frigates. Combat site exploration involves plenty of travel, warping between stargates, the sites themselves, and even between rooms within a site. While I'm putting the emphasis specifically on warp speed and acceleration, it should be noted that the mass, inertia modifier, and align time attributes also play a role in the amount of time you spend traveling. The time spent warping between solar systems can be significant. If you're in a ship with low warp speed and acceleration, you'll probably even find yourself walking away from your computer from time to time. To showcase just how much time you can save, I have 3 separate ships that I'll be moving through the same route from the star in Otato all the way to the star in Torinos. This will involve 20 jumps in total. Each ship will be fit with a single hyperspatial velocity optimizer rig for a boost to its default warp speed. The 3 ships in this little race are a regular frigate, the Kestrel at 6 AU per second, my favorite assault frigate, the Ishkar, at 6.88 AU per second, and one of the most common combat site ships, the Gila, at 5 AU per second. And here we are at the starting line, the toasty warm sun in Otato. Our 3 contenders, the Kestrel, Ishkar, and Gila, are ready to race. And they're off! The Kestrel and Ishkar land on the Frigate together. Oh, and the Kestrel takes advantage of a lag spike, sneaking through the gate first. Can the Ishkar and Gila make up for it as they each make their way into Frigate? 3 minutes later. Here we are, with the Kestrel and Ishkar still first and second, landing on the Josemito Gate in Laikuri. Now a full jump ahead as the Gila is just making its way into Laikuri. 3 minutes later. Oh, and the Ishkar appears to be landing first on the Elenaya Gate in Laturia, edging out the Kestrel as the Gila is still in warp a jump behind in Umasaisen. 3 minutes later. And look at this! The gap has widened as the Ishkar lands several seconds ahead of the Kestrel in the Isinoka Gate in Oepo. Traversing the longest warp in the route looks to really favor the ship with the highest warp speed. 3 minutes later. It looks like we have our winner as the Ishkar lands at the star in Torinos, taking the gold medal. The Kestrel is nipping at its heels, taking the silver only a few seconds behind. Meanwhile, the Gila is way in the back, just making its way out of Oepo, content with the knowledge that someday it too will enjoy the warm embrace of the Torinos sun. And here are the final results. In the end, the Ishkar edged out the Kestrel by only about 7 seconds, while the Gila clearly lagged behind, spending over 2 minutes extra in the overall trip. The longest warp distance was in the Oepo system at 162.7 AU. It's only in these longer jumps that you'll start to see a difference in warp speed specifically. It's quite clear that the majority of the gain is actually in warp acceleration, the time your ship is spending getting into and coming out of warp. Warping between sites, or even between rooms within a site, will generally only save you a second or so based on warp speed and acceleration. But if you're in direct competition with another combat site explorer, even an extra second may be enough to give you an edge. This can be particularly helpful when running sites where the faction spawn is a frigate or destroyer. In the third and final video in this Assault Frigate series, I'll be highlighting some of the ship attributes that are important while you're actually running a combat site. You can check back on my channel for that video soon. I recently posted a 13-part video series detailing all high-security Garista combat sites. My journey to host a complete set of combat site video guides began in 2020 with a similar 13-part series for Serpentis combat sites. I have plans to release my guide for Angel Cartel sites starting in January of 2022. You can find all of my EVE Online content in the gaming section of my website over at RileyEntertainment.com. So stay tuned to Riley Entertainment and smash that like button if you enjoy my content.